Hello everyone, and welcome to my very first video on my new channel. This is going to be all about just positing theories, thinking critically, and just putting some ideas out there. I've got a lot of stuff rolling around in this head of mine, and I thought I would just go ahead and put it out there in the world and see what everybody thinks. So here we go. Very first one is going to be on where is God and how is he not affected by time? Because I've had that question asked to me by several of my friends lots of times. So to understand this, you have to start somewhere. And where we're going to start is how superstring theory posits the dimensions. Superstring theory says that there are 10 dimensions, whereas the M impact M theory says there's 11, but that's neither here nor there. Of the 10 dimensions, I think God is in the 10th because, well, let me get into it. So dimensions are made up of length, width, and breadth, right? So, or you can look at it as time, space, and matter, right? Because Genesis even gives us the frameworks for this. It says, in the beginning, time, God created the heavens, space, and earth, matter. So you've got that kind of reference to plant your feet on to think about this theory. So if we look at dimensions as 3 points, the time, space, and matter, or length, width, and breadth, however you want to look at it, the first dimension is just a single dot, right? There we go, single dot right there. So if you take and make a second dot and put a line between the two, now you've got 2 dimensions. Now, if we go to a third dimension, let's say this is depth, because this would be from our perception, right? So we'll say that the first point is, I don't know, maybe width, and then the second point would be length, right? So that would be a 2-dimensional world. If you lived in just that world and you didn't have the third dimension, you wouldn't know what's coming next in the depth of your world. You would be flat. Whereas with the third dimension, you get what we have as a perception of our world is a 3D environment that is immersive, right? Similar to virtual reality, except for it's actual reality. So with this 3 dimensions here, you've got kind of a bundle. The fourth dimension is time. So with time, it's kind of this whole thing, but in slices, similar to how a 2D world wouldn't know what's happening in the depth. So if I was a flatlander here, I wouldn't know what's happening over here because I couldn't see this. I wouldn't have depth, right? I would only know what's happening right here. With 3-dimensional, it's that way with time. We know what's happening in the 3D environment around us right now at this very second. We don't know what it's going to look like in 3 seconds. Now, we might be able to predict that very well, but we don't know what it's going to look like here in 10 years. Time separates us into chunks of 3D instances, right? So if I take this and I make another one here, sorry, I'll show you the drawing in a minute. If I take 2 3D environments and connect them, this is my 4th dimension, time. Now, this is where it gets a little tricky because, and I will let you go and search up a more intelligent person speaking about string theories, posit on timelines and that kind of thing, because I'm not that versed on it. I just understand it well enough to kind of have this theory, and I need you to understand this to understand the theory. So basically, the 5th dimension is made up of a bunch of points, or a bunch of timelines like this. So if this was our timeline, I'm going to quickly draw another one here. So now, this piece of paper is the 5th dimension because we've got 2 different timelines, right? As it extrapolates out those different timelines, they exist, kind of, in my opinion. And again, I just want to throw a quick disclaimer out. This is all my opinion. I am not a scientist. I do not have a definite grasp on any of these concepts. This is just my theory. So that being said, with these timelines out there, I see this as God can see it in the 10th dimension, because he created time, space, and matter, right? And time, space, and matter cannot exist exclusively from one another. If you have time and space, what's there? If you have matter and time, where is it? You know, it's like you have to have all three at the same time, otherwise reality does not exist. So if God created those, he can't be constrained by them. Similar to a computer programmer that creates a program and puts it into some cloud software for a user to interact with, right? That user is constrained by that software. They live in the world that the programmer created. But the programmer is not constrained by that world. If he doesn't like something in that world, he can change it. He can move in and out of the code in the different parts of the process and change it. And that process would be similar to our time for God, right? So kind of using that as an example, God being outside of this timeline, he sees all of these different timelines as possibilities. Now, I don't believe that all of those timelines exist at the same time. You know, if you've ever seen Marvel movies, you know the whole timeline and multiverse theory, right? I don't believe in that. I don't think there's an alternate me somewhere living a different life. What I do think is all of those possibilities exist in God's mind. Coming back to my point that I started. Sorry for the tangent. So I believe all of those timelines exist in God's mind, and he knows that they're there. He knows those possibilities exist. Now, maybe we've taken our life to the point, because I'm just transparent here. I'm 41, getting there, right? Not old yet, but definitely not young anymore. So I may have made some decisions in my life that are irreversible. There might be some timelines in my possibility spectrum that are dead, because there's no way I could ever get back there. However, I think there's one timeline, in that big fan of timelines, there's one that takes you to a perfect spot. The optimum impact for God's kingdom. Optimum? That was a terrible word. The optimal impact for God's kingdom in that timeline. The most benefit to you as a person, the most joy. Because, I mean, those things are synonymous, right? If you're doing God's work and you're doing what he called you to do, there will be strife, there'll be trouble. Jesus said, this life will bring persecution. Like, this isn't a lazy river. It's going to be hard as a Christian, but there's joy, because with trials come benefits and come rewards. At the end of those trials, you're better, as long as you walk it with God. Trials can also break you if you don't do it right. That's, you know, a concession. But if you do the trial right and you learn from it, you're better for it. So, again, tangent, but so God sees that timeline, right? He knows the perfect one for us. We may be on this one down here that's like terrible for us because we've made some awful choices. I was definitely on that timeline for a very long time. Frankly, I'm probably not on the right one now, but I'm trying to get there. Because what I think God does is he guides us back to that timeline. And I think because he's outside of all of that, of time, space, and matter, I think that he has the ability to make a bridge. No matter what we do, because the Bible says, no matter what you do, you cannot remove the grace of God from your life. That's a fact in the Bible. It's a promise in the Bible from God, which we know is fact, right? So no matter what you do, you can't keep him from creating a bridge back to that timeline that's perfect for you. So he's always trying to guide us back to that. We just have to listen to his voice. That's my theory. I'd love to talk to you about that. Feel free to put some comments down below and, you know, tell me what you think. Am I crazy? Is it possible? Is there something, do you have a theory that's close to mine? I'd love to talk about it with you. I'm very open to having discussions and conversations. That's how we grow as people, right? And maybe you could guide me closer to my own timeline, right? Or maybe I could help you. Whatever the case, I would love to have a discussion. So just wanted to get my theory out there. There'll probably be more of these coming as I have more crazy ideas pop into my head. And I just want to, you know, go ahead and put them out there and see what you guys think. But for now, I'll put a couple of tags in the video that would draw you here for the content that I posted. I hope you're having a blessed day. Feel free to subscribe if you want to see when new videos come out. I'd love it if you hit that like button. That'd be great. Help me with my ratings here to get seen by more people and reach more people and have more discussions about God's creation and the wonders that are here. And then furthermore, just as a shameless plug at the end of my video here, I'm also an author. I've been going through a trying season myself. I've lost my job, just with it, like so many other people in this economy, with layoffs. It's been about 3 months, and I'm starting to look at alternatives. So I'm doing writing. I wrote a novel. You know, I've done a lot of things that I think maybe could make us money in the future. Not right now, but just trying to find a different path for my life, right? So I'm going to be putting a book out there soon on Amazon, and I'll put a link to that on my YouTube channel here as well. So if you'd like to read that, it's a high fantasy novel, Christian-based. So you're welcome to take a look at that. You guys have a wonderful day. God bless you, and we will talk soon. See you guys.